Hey guys, Mr. Martin back here again. Today's video is going to be on identifying pairs of lines and angles. So let's get started. Alright, so the first pair of lines we want to talk about is parallel lines. Okay, we're going to talk about parallel lines, and we're also going to talk about skew lines, because two lines that do not intersect are either parallel or they're skew. Everyone thinks that lines that don't intersect are automatically parallel. Well, I want to introduce you to what skew lines are. So let's talk about these. You guys know that two lines are parallel if they don't intersect. That's what everyone assumes. But what we forget is that they also have to be coplanar. Okay? What we all know that coplanar means. That's right, they're on the same plane, so they have to be coplanar. What if they're not? Let's look at the next pair of lines, and that's called skew lines. So skew lines, like parallel lines, don't intersect, but this time they are not coplanar. So the main difference here is that in parallel lines, they're on the same plane. For skew lines, they're not on the same plane. Big difference. So if they're coplanar, we call them parallel if they don't intersect. If they're not coplanar, we call them skew if they don't intersect. All right, let's move on from here. All right, so let's use these in some examples. Okay, let's look for lines that are parallel to line CD containing point A. Okay, so here is line CD, which is right here. Okay, and we want to find lines that are parallel to CD containing point A. So here is point A right here. Okay, so we're looking for lines that are parallel. That means they've got to be on the same plane. Remember, parallel lines are on the same plane. Skew lines are not on the same plane. So the line that is on the same plane with line CD is line AB. So line AB is parallel to line CD going through point A. Okay? Alright, so now let's look for lines that are skew to line CD going through point A. So let's get rid of that line. So now again we're looking for lines through point A. Okay? So now we see line AH is skew because it is not intersecting line CD and it is not coplanar. It's on a different plane. Okay? As well as line, which other line do you think? Well, I see this line AG right here. Again, both those lines are now not on the same plane, so they're not coplanar, and they are not crossing line CD, so we got also line AG. Okay? Alright, so let's get rid of those lines. Let's look for, let's put that back. Okay, so let's look for, now I want to look for lines that are perpendicular to line CD going through point A. So again, we're looking for lines perpendicular, which means from unit 1 and 2, we remember that they form a right angle, right? Lines that are perpendicular. So now we got, again, line CD. Which line is going to be perpendicular, forming a right angle with CD going through A? Again, here's A, right? Okay, so now we have point A, and we're going to obviously see line AD, which is got a right angle right there. So we got line AD. Notice all of our answers have point A in it because we're looking for lines that are containing point A. Obviously A needs to be in our answer. Okay? Alright, last thing. Let's look for a plane that is parallel to line A, meaning it doesn't intersect line CD, okay? But it does go through point A. And I think you can see that we got plane BAG. It's this plane right here. And what we would say maybe is the right side of that box. Okay? So it's going to be parallel to it, not intersecting it, and it will go through point A. Okay? Those are a little bit, tricky. We're looking for, again, the difference between parallel and skew is coplanar versus not coplanar. All right? All right. So let's go on to some postulates. Okay? Let's talk about the parallel postulate. It says if we've got a line, in this case we got line L. Let's go back and just talk about parallel for right now. We got line L. Okay? If we have line L, then we have point P, which is not on line L. Okay? Sorry, let's go back to that slide. So we got line L, and we have point P. Okay? We have one line, and only one line, going through point P that is parallel to line L. Okay? Namely that line right there. And the red arrow on there, the extra arrowhead, okay, on each line like that means that those two lines are parallel, meaning they don't intersect and they're coplanar. Okay? How about same thing? Point P and line L. So we got point P and line L. And we want now to find the line perpendicular through P. Okay? There's, again, only going to be one line through P that's perpendicular to L. There's lots of lines that go through P. Right? There's a parallel one. There's all kinds of lines that go through P. Okay? Got all kinds of lines going through point P. There is only one line that is perpendicular to the given line. Same thing, there is lots of lines going through point P, but there is only one line parallel to the given line. All right, last thing we're going to talk about, guys, is we're going to talk about angles formed by a transversal. What's a transversal, you ask? Well, a transversal is a line that intersects two or more coplanar lines at different points. So in this case, we've got, let's call this top one line L. And usually when we're talking about lines, we use a script letter. So it kind of looks like cursive. So let's say we've got line L and line M. Okay? And we've got this other line, which we'll call T for transversal. Okay? So when we have two lines with a line going through them, we call that line going through them a transversal. So let's talk about some angle pairs that are formed when we have a transversal. Okay, the first pair is corresponding angles. I think of corresponding angles as being in the same relative position. Okay, if you notice, angle 2 is above line L, and it is to the right of line T. Same thing with angle 6. It is above line M, and it is to the right of line T. So if you think of compass directions, we could say both of those are in the, could we say northeast corner? If you remember north being up on a map, right? And east being to the left. Okay? So angle 2 is northeast. If you're thinking of streets, the northeast corner of L and T. And angle 6 is in the northeast corner of M and T. Okay? We'll do more of these, and it'll get a little clearer as we do more examples. Okay? All right. Let's look at the next pair. The next pair is called alternate interior. So now in the name, I think you can see what the angles are based on simply the name. So let's look at the word alternate. Okay? Alternate, meaning on opposite sides. So again, we've got the transversal T. Let's go back to line L and M. So we got the top line we'll call L. We could have called it A. We could have called it B. I'm just picking L and M. L is usually the first line. M is usually the second. So now look at the transversal. We got 4 on the right side, and we got 5 on the left side. Okay, so 4 is over here on the right side, and 5 is on the left side. Notice that both of these are on the interior. So that's why we call them alternate, meaning different sides, interior, meaning inside. Right? If you're an interior decorator, you like to decorate the inside of the house. Okay? So those are called the alternate interior. Let's compare that to, what do you think we're going to compare that to? Right, the alternate exterior. So again, alternate meaning on different sides, okay? And exterior, this time meaning on the outside. You use exterior paint to paint the outside of your house. Okay? So back to our example. Okay? Angle 1 is on the left. Angle 8 is on the right. Okay? Now this time they're on the outside of the two lines. So we call those alternate exterior. Read the name carefully. It tells you where they are. Alternate, opposite sides. Exterior, outside. Okay? Now let's compare that to consecutive interior. Now this, like it says, is consecutive. Think of numbers being consecutive, one right after the other. So in this case, now we've got consecutive, meaning they're next to each other. Okay? In this case, 3 and 5 are consecutive. Okay? And we'll say this means next to each other. Okay? And now they are interior. Okay? So now they are both on the left side. And they are now both on the inside. Okay? Now think about alternate interior versus consecutive interior. Alternate was on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay? Consecutive is on the same side. Alright, so let's put this into action. Here is two lines cut by a transversal. Now I rotated this on you guys. Okay? So let's identify the lines we're talking about again. Okay? So we have line L here. This time we kind of rotated it, and line M. And now here is our transversal here. Okay? So if you need to, you can rotate your paper and so you can see it in the same picture. So let's look for corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, and consecutive interior. So pause the video right now and see if you can name all of the corresponding pairs, all of the interior pairs, all of the alternate interior, all of the alternate exterior, and all the consecutive interior. Alright, pause the video and come back. Alright, so you've come back now, and I think you should have 4 pairs of corresponding. You should have 2 pairs of alternate interior. You should have 2 pairs of alternate exterior. And you should have 2 pairs of consecutive interior. Let's see if we can label them all. Let's start with angle 1. Okay, so I'm going to do corresponding first. Okay, so angle 1. Let's look at, we've got to the left of line 1, but we've got above the transversal. So we want to the left of line M and above the transversal. So that would be angle 5. Okay? Let's jump over to angle 2 now. Which one is corresponding to angle 2? Now we got to the right of the line. We need to the right of the line. And again, we've got above. So that's going to be angle 6. Okay? Angle 3 is going to go with angle 7, and angle 4 is going to go with angle 8. Okay? Please don't look for patterns in the numbers. I know this is in order. Okay? And this is in order. Okay? Now realize that I could change the order of the way I numbered these angles, and 1 and 5 would not necessarily go together. So don't look for shortcuts. Analyze the position of each angle and find the corresponding angle. Alright? Let's do alternate interior. Let me get these out of the way. Okay, remember, alternate means on the opposite side of the transversal, and interior means on the inside. So let's look at interior angles. We'll start with angle 2. Okay? I need the one that's on the opposite side and on the other line. So we got line M and M. Line L and M, okay? So I need on the opposite side of the transversal. So I need the other side, okay? And I need, so this is above the transversal, so I need below the transversal, which is going to be angle 7, okay? Now 4 is going to go with 5. All right? Same thing with exterior. Now we're looking for outside. Okay? So it's going to be 1 and 8. Opposite sides of the transversal. Top, bottom. Okay? And you guessed it, 3 goes with 6. Okay? Last pair. Let's look for consecutive interior next to each other. So we got angle 2 and 5 and angle 4 and 7. We're going to have relationships with these between these angles, but we got to be able to identify them first. Okay? So make sure you got good notes. Again, I know it's a lot of video, but this is the equivalent of an entire classroom lecture. So I think 16 minutes is doing pretty good. Get this stuff in your notes. Analyze your notes. Make sure you're not just writing down stuff. Make sure you understand what you're writing. And let's come ready to do some practice problems in the morning. All right? Talk to you later.